Detroit just made a smart, under-the-radar chess move that speaks to ambition, depth, and timing. The kind of move you feel in the trenches long before it shows up on the highlight reel. I'm talking about a front office decision that costs little, raises the ceiling of the edge room, and positions the Lions to survive the long winter of the NFL calendar with fresh legs and real competition at a premium spot. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, your home for rapid updates and deep, trustworthy analysis on our Detroit Lions. And yes, you're going to get the full picture here. What changed in the defensive line rotation? Why the timing matters? What the roster mechanics mean for game day elevations? How this player's profile translates from college production to pro snaps? And where this fits in the big plan for a team that wants to close games with heat and discipline. I'm not dropping names yet because the headline isn't the point. The point is the architecture. Detroit is doubling down on a modern pass rush ecosystem where one star can't carry every third down alone, where waves matter, where practice squad isn't a graveyard but a runway, and where a well-chosen developmental edge can tilt a fourth quarter in November as much as any splash midseason trade. You've seen how this team is built. Toughness first, detail next, and a front seven that filters everything through effort and assignment-sound football. When the schedule stacks up and bodies get tired, you need more than just a starter. You need a plan to maintain velocity off the edge, preserve the interior's gas tank, and steal a handful of money downs with fresh rushers who know who they are and what their role is. That's the context for today's move, and why I'm excited. Detroit invested in a trench solution that is affordable, familiar, and aligned with the way this staff coaches defense gap discipline, relentless motor, and finishing plays without sacrificing contain. The signal is unmistakable. They want another rusher they can coach, mold, elevate on a week's notice, and challenge veterans with in practice. And they want it from someone who already speaks the language of this building. I'm going to walk you through what this means for the rotation, because the edge room thrives on clarity. First, practice squad doesn't mean later. It means be ready now. With standard elevations available, the staff can dress an extra edge on a matchup-specific week, deploy him on special teams, and select passing downs, and then bounce him back to the squad without burning a roster spot. That flexibility is gold when you're balancing injury, opponent tendencies, and the reality that pass rush is a high-attrition job. Second, it gives Detroit a development lane with staff oversight. You control the technique work, the strength plan, and the mental reps in your system, and you don't overexpose the player before he's ready. Third, it's a protection measure for the room. Competition keeps everyone honest. Rep distribution stays sane, and the coaches can keep the front fresh into the fourth quarter when games are won. All that matters more in the NFC race than any flashy headline. Now, let's talk profile and why this specific addition makes football sense beyond the excitement of any name. What travels from college to the NFL for edge play is a combination of get-off, leverage literacy, and finishing knowing how to close a rush once you win half a man. Production matters not as a promise, but as proof the player converts opportunities. You look for consistency over multiple seasons, durability to stack snaps, and a track record of making the most of stunts and games, because the league will ask you to be more than a straight-line rusher. Detroit's staff has shown they can onboard young edges into those responsibilities, set a firm edge on early downs, squeeze the pocket on second and long, and then hunt on third and obvious without giving away rush lane. The timing is the other tell. Moves like this right now say the medicals are aligned. The ramp-up plan is in motion, and the front office has a clear window when elevations would matter for specific opponents. It also says the staff wants a developmental answer they can trust more than a random street free agent who doesn't know the install. This is building with intention. And here's the moment you've been waiting for. Detroit has brought back its own 2025 sixth-round pick, Boise State edge rusher Ahmed Hassan, signing him to the practice squad. He's 23 years old, a familiar face and file to this front office, and he returns after being waived near the end of camp with an injury settlement, now fully eligible to rejoin and continue his development inside the building. In college, he logged 47 games over 4 seasons and stacked 120 total tackles with 23. 5 sacks, which is a telling split. That's production over time, not a single hot year. And it reflects a defender who knows how to finish rushes and contribute against the run. If you're doing the math with me, that's exactly 0.5 sacks per game across a meaningful sample. And that finishing trait is one of the few college signals that correlates when you pair it with the right coaching. The contract chapter from the spring matters only as context. He signed a standard 4-year rookie deal after the draft and then hit the reset when the late camp injury settlement happened, common business in this league. The point now is the Lions chose to bring him back because they know the medical timeline, the practice habits, and the toolbox they drafted in the first place. The fit is straightforward. Add a young, moldable rusher to the room. Let him rebuild rhythm in practice. Give him special teams work as a baseline. And prepare a package of third and long snaps where he can play fast without being asked to be Superman on day one. Think NASCAR groupings where you can kick an interior upfield penetrator next to him, or run a simple TE game that lets him threaten the outside hip and loop inside when protection slides. The staff can experiment during the week. Watch how he holds his rush lane discipline, and then decide when the standard elevation makes sense based on opponent protections. You'll also hear me emphasize the leverage piece with Ahmed, because young edges who succeed early in the NFL are the ones who translate their college leverage wins, not just beating a tackle, but beating him with a plan that keeps the quarterback in the cage. That's how you earn trust in this system. And I like the psychology here too. Bringing back your own draft pick preserves institutional knowledge. The coaches remember which drills resonated in OTAs, which counters he was closest to landing in camp, and which run fits he grasped fastest. You're not starting from zero with a stranger. You're resuming a project with a clearer path. That's undervalued in a league that pretends every replacement is plug and play. Let's hit the strategic ripple effects for game weeks. With Ahmed on the practice squad, Detroit can keep pressure on offensive lines by toggling body types and pitch counts. If he earns it, you can tap him to steal 8 to 12 snaps as a situational rusher and give your frontline guys a breather without losing juice. That matters in weather games. That matters on short weeks. And it absolutely matters in fourth quarters against heavyweight quarterbacks who turn second reaction plays into heartbreak if the rush dies. Depth is not just insurance. It's a weapon. Cap-wise and roster-wise, it's as efficient as it gets. Practice squad economics, zero draft pick outlay, and the flexibility to pivot to the 53 when his ramp-up crosses the threshold. That's how a contender stays nimble, commit resources to premium positions, but keep the bench stocked with players who can give you a clean 10-snap package without penalties or blown contain. And since he's our pick, there's pride on both ends. He knows what it means to re-earn this building's trust, and the building knows why it drafted him. Now, I want you with me in the comments. Do you want to see an early standard elevation if he stacks a strong week of practice? Or would you slow cook the development until a specific matchup calls for it? Which sub-package would you try first, pure wide rush on 3rd and 8, or a stun-heavy look to stress communication? Tell me your plan for integrating him without disrupting the current rhythm. My read, concise and direct. This is a smart, low-risk bet on pass rush depth with upside you can coach. A reunification with a 23-year-old you already vetted. And a sign that Detroit is building a sustainable edge pipeline for the stretch run, not just hoping one superstar solves everything. If you're riding with me and you want more moves decoded exactly like this fast when it breaks, deep when it counts, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, drop a like, and keep those notifications on. I'll keep you locked into every update, and I'll be back the moment there's movement on elevation, snap counts, or any ripple effect from today's signing.